Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked out at the stars. His fleet of 200 ships floated in space around him. Each ship carried thousands of human soldiers ready to fight. For 15 years, Earth had been part of the Galactic Council. For 15 years, humans had fought and died for alien worlds they had never seen. Jake was tired. His brown hair had gray streaks now. His face showed the marks of too many battles. But his eyes still burned with the fire that made him the best admiral Earth had ever produced. The aliens respected him. They feared him. They needed him. "Admiral, incoming message from the Council," said Captain Lisa Barnes. She was Jake's most trusted officer. Her blonde hair was pulled back tight and her blue eyes were sharp. She had saved Jake's life more times than either of them could count. "Put it through," Jake said. The hologram of Speaker Veltar appeared on the bridge. The Altarian looked like a tall, thin human, but with purple skin and large black eyes. His voice was smooth and calm the way politicians always sounded. "Admiral Morrison, we have an urgent mission for your fleet," Veltar said. "Our intelligence shows a massive Keth invasion force gathering in the Zeta Reticuli system. You must take your entire deep space fleet there immediately." Jake frowned. "The entire fleet? That leaves Earth's colonies unprotected." "The Council will handle colonial defense," Veltar replied quickly. "This threat requires all of humanity's military power. The Keth have never assembled a force this large. If they succeed, they will sweep through Council space and destroy everything we have built." Lisa stepped closer to Jake. She whispered, "Something feels wrong about this." Jake nodded slightly but kept his voice steady. "What about communication protocols?" "Complete communication blackout?" Veltar said. "The Keth have been intercepting our messages. Any transmission could give away your position. You will receive new orders once you reach the target zone." The hologram flickered and disappeared. Jake stared at the empty space where it had been. In 15 years of fighting for the Council, he had never been ordered to take his entire fleet. "So far from human space. Lisa, what do you think?" he asked. "I think Speaker Veltar was lying," she said bluntly. His eye movements were all wrong. When Altarians lie, their eyes dart to the left. His eyes were dancing like a butterfly. Jake had learned to trust Lisa's instincts. She could read aliens better than most humans could read other humans. If she said Veltar was lying, then he probably was. But orders were orders. Earth needed the Council's protection. Humanity was still the youngest member of the galactic community. They could not afford to make enemies. "Send word to all ship commanders," Jake said. "We leave for Zeta Reticuli in 6 hours." Across the fleet, humans prepared for another war. They loaded weapons and checked systems. They said goodbye to families through video messages. They did what humans had always done when called to fight. Dr. Alex Turner was not preparing for war. He was studying data in his laboratory on the research ship Discovery. Alex was a xenobiologist who specialized in studying alien technology. For months, he had been analyzing captured Keth equipment. The Keth were supposed to be savage barbarians. They attacked without warning and showed no mercy. But as Alex studied their technology, he found something strange. The attack patterns were too organized. The targets were too specific. Alex pulled up a map of recent Keth attacks. Red dots showed where they had struck. Blue dots showed where human fleets had been stationed. Alex's heart stopped. Every single Keth attack had happened just after human forces had been moved away from that area. "Computer, show me Council fleet movements for the same time period," Alex said. Green dots appeared on the map. Alex stared in horror. Every time humans moved to fight the Keth, Council fleets moved away from the battle zone. It was as if they knew exactly where the Keth would attack next. Alex tried to contact Admiral Morrison, but his communication was blocked. He tried to reach Earth Command. Blocked again. He tried to send a message to his friend at the Council Research Center. That was blocked too. Someone did not want Alex's information to reach the right people. Captain Lisa Barnes was having her own problems. She had noticed that Council fleets were pulling back from forward positions just as the human fleet prepared to leave. This made no tactical sense. If the Keth were planning a major invasion, every available ship should be moving to intercept them. "Communications. Get me General Marcus Stone at Council headquarters," Lisa ordered. "I'm sorry, Captain." Her communications officer replied. All channels to Council space are experiencing technical difficulties. Lisa knew there was no such thing as technical difficulties with quantum communication systems. Someone was jamming their signals. She walked to her ready room and locked the door. From a hidden compartment, she pulled out an illegal emergency transmitter. If the Council was blocking normal communications, she would use channels they did not know about. The transmitter crackled to life. "This is Captain Barnes of the Earth Fleet. Is anyone receiving this transmission?" A weak voice answered. "Captain, this is Commander Ryan Clark on the Vengeance. I've been trying to reach Fleet. Command for hours. Something is very wrong." "What have you observed?" Lisa asked. "All Council ships have withdrawn from this sector. I mean all of them. It's like they're clearing the area before something big happens." Lisa felt cold fear creep up her spine. "Ryan, start preparing your ship for combat. I think we're being set up." 6 hours later, Admiral Morrison's fleet jumped into hyperspace. 200 ships carrying the best of humanity's military forces disappeared from normal space. They were heading to Zeta Reticuli to fight an enemy that might not be there. As the last human ship vanished, Council fleets began moving into positions around Earth's colonies. Speaker Veltar smiled in his office. The plan was working perfectly. But Veltar had made one mistake. He had underestimated Dr. Alex Turner's determination. Even with communications blocked, Alex had found a way to hide his data. If the human fleet somehow survived what was coming, they would know the truth. They would know that the Galactic Council had betrayed them. The fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Zeta Reticuli system. Space was empty. No Keth invasion force. No enemy ships at all. Just cold, empty space and distant stars. Admiral Morrison stood on his bridge and felt the trap closing around him. Somewhere in the darkness, enemies were moving. The question was not if they would attack, but when and whether any humans would survive to tell the story. Admiral Morrison's fleet floated in empty space for 3 hours. The ships spread out in defensive positions while sensors swept the area. There were no signs of any Keth invasion force. There was nothing at all. "Admiral, this doesn't make sense," said Commander Ryan Clark over the communication system. His ship Vengeance was positioned on the fleet's outer edge. "If the Keth were planning a major attack, we should see some trace of them." Jake Morrison felt the weight of command pressing down on him. 200 ships, 50,000 human lives, all following his orders into what was starting to look like a trap. "Keep scanning," he told his crew, "and prepare for—" Alarms screamed across the bridge. Chief Engineer Kate Williams looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive hyperspace signatures. Multiple vectors. They're surrounding us." The view screen lit up with enemy ships, hundreds of them. They appeared from hyperspace in perfect formation, cutting off every escape route. But something was wrong with the picture. "Those aren't Keth ships," Captain Lisa Barnes said quietly. She was right. Mixed in with the savage Keth vessels were the sleek designs of Council races. Altarian cruisers flew alongside Keth destroyers. Zephyrian battleships protected Keth carriers. The enemy fleet was a nightmare combination of the galaxy's most advanced technology and its most brutal warriors. "How is this possible?" Morrison whispered. His answer came in the form of a transmission from the lead enemy ship. Speaker Veltar's face appeared on the screen, but he was no longer trying to look friendly. "Admiral Morrison," Veltar said with a cold smile, "you have served the Council well, but humanity has grown too powerful. You ask too many questions. You win too many battles. You make the older races nervous." Morrison's hands clenched into fists. "You're working with the Keth, the very enemies we've been fighting for 15 years. "The Keth are useful allies when properly directed," Veltar replied. "They share our goal of removing humanity from galactic politics. The only difference is their methods are more direct." On his scanner station, Dr. Alex Turner watched in horror as the truth unfolded. The communication jamming signals were coming from Council equipment hidden among the Keth ships. Everything he had suspected was true. The Council had been planning this betrayal for years. "The plan is simple," Veltar continued. "Your fleet will be destroyed here, far from any help. We will tell the galaxy that the Keth overwhelmed you before reinforcements could arrive. Earth will mourn its heroes and accept Council protection. Humanity will become a junior member again, grateful for whatever scraps we throw you. Morrison." felt rage building inside him. 15 years of loyal service, 15 years of human blood spilled for alien worlds, and this was their reward. "You made one mistake," Morrison said. "Oh, and what is that?" "You should have killed us all at once." Morrison cut the transmission and turned to his bridge crew. "All ships, battle stations. Today we show these backstabbers what happens when you betray humanity." The battle began with a wave of missiles from the enemy fleet. The human ships scattered and returned fire, but they were outnumbered 50-1. For every shot they fired, 100 came back at them. The Defiance took a direct hit to its port side. Captain Barnes fought to keep her ship in the fight as atmosphere leaked from the hull breach. "Engineering, I need those shields back online." "Working on it, Captain," came the reply. Across the fleet, human ships were taking damage, but they were also learning. Kate Williams made a discovery that changed everything. "Admiral, I've analyzed their shield technology," she reported. "The Council ships are using standard harmonics. If we overload our energy weapons past safety limits, we can create feedback loops in their shields." "Do it," Morrison ordered. "All ships, overload your main guns. Let's give them a taste of human engineering." The tide of battle began to shift. Human ships started targeting Council vessels with overcharged weapons. The feedback loops caused massive explosions that took out entire squadrons of enemy ships. But the victory came at a cost. Overloading their weapons was burning out the human ships' power systems. They could not keep this up for long. That was when Ambassador HFY made his move. The crystalline alien ship broke away from the enemy formation and approached the human fleet. His transmission came through on an emergency frequency. "Admiral Morrison, I am Ambassador HFY of the Crystal Worlds. Not all Council members agreed to this betrayal. Some of us tried to warn you, but we were outvoted." Morrison's finger hovered over the fire button. Could he trust this alien? "Prove it," Morrison said. "The jamming frequency is 2847.3 terahertz. It's coming from the Keth command ship. Destroy it, and you can call for help." Morrison looked at Lisa. She studied the alien's image and nodded slowly. "He's telling the truth, Admiral." "Ryan, did you hear that?" Morrison called to the Vengeance. "Already." "On it, Admiral. Target locked." Commander Clark's ship was the fastest in the fleet. It darted through enemy fire and launched every missile it had at the Keth command ship. The vessel exploded in a ball of fire and radiation. Immediately, the jamming stopped. Human ships began receiving transmissions from across space. But what they heard was not good news. "Fleet command to all human vessels," came a message from Earth. "Council forces are attacking our colonies. Repeat, the Council has declared war on humanity. All ships return to defend Earth immediately." Morrison felt sick. While his fleet had been trapped here, the Council was attacking defenseless human worlds. Men, women, and children were dying while he fought a pointless battle in empty space. "Admiral," Dr. Turner's voice came over the intercom. "I've been analyzing the enemy communication codes. This attack was planned for 3 years. They've been studying our tactics, our technology, everything. But I found something else." "What?" "The Keth aren't happy about working with the Council. Their honor code forbids deception in warfare. Some of their commanders are questioning the alliance." Morrison looked at the tactical display. His fleet had lost 60 ships, but they had destroyed over 200 enemy vessels. The Council had expected an easy victory. Instead, they were learning that humans could adapt to any situation. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," he broadcast. "We've been betrayed by the aliens we trusted. Our colonies are under attack. Our people are dying. But we're still here, and we're still fighting." He paused and looked at each face on his bridge. Good people. Brave people. People who deserved better than this betrayal. "From this moment on, we follow only one rule," Morrison continued. "Any ship that fires on humans dies. Any alien that betrays us dies. Any government that threatens Earth dies. We're going home, and we're going to show the galaxy what happens when you make humanity angry." The remaining human ships formed a tight formation and began fighting their way through the enemy lines. They were no longer trying to win a defensive battle. They were trying to escape so they could bring justice to those who had betrayed them. Commander Clark's Vengeance led the charge, its weapons blazing. Captain Barnes kept the Defiance flying despite massive damage. Dr. Turner worked frantically to decode more enemy communications, and Admiral Morrison planned their revenge. The galaxy had wanted to see humanity removed as a threat. Instead, they had created something far worse. They had turned Earth's most loyal defenders into an enemy that would show no mercy. As the human fleet broke through the enemy lines and jumped to hyperspace, Ambassador HFY transmitted one last message. Admiral Morrison, I pray you can. Forgive those of us who tried to prevent this. The Council has made a terrible mistake. They thought they were eliminating a threat. Instead, they have awakened something that will bring down everything they have built. Morrison's reply was cold and simple. Tell the Council that humanity is coming home, and we're bringing Annihilation with us. The remaining human ships jumped through hyperspace like wounded animals running from hunters. Admiral Morrison watched his fleet status display with grim satisfaction. They had started with 200 ships. Now only 67 remained. But those 67 ships carried something more dangerous than weapons. They carried the fury of betrayed humanity. Admiral, we're receiving distress signals from the colonies, reported Lieutenant Commander Beth Roberts. She was Morrison's intelligence officer, a small woman with sharp eyes who could decode alien languages faster than most computers. Morrison listened to the desperate messages. The Council was not just attacking military targets. They were bombing civilian cities, destroying farms, killing children. This was not a war. This was genocide. Beth, I want you to record everything, Morrison said. Every message, every image, every piece of evidence. When this is over, the galaxy will know what the Council really is. In the ship's laboratory, Dr. Helen Parker worked with desperate energy. She was the fleet's chief physicist, a brilliant woman who had spent years studying captured alien technology. Now she was turning that knowledge into weapons. I figured out how their shield harmonics work, she told Morrison over the communication system. If we reverse the polarity and amplify the feedback, we can turn their own shields into bombs. How big of bombs? Morrison asked. Big enough to take out everything in a 10-kilometer radius. Morrison smiled coldly. Start building the devices. As many as you can. Captain Tony Mitchell listened to the conversation from his stealth ship Shadow. His vessel was smaller than the others, designed for reconnaissance and special operations. Tony was a quiet man who preferred to let his actions speak for him. Admiral, request permission to infiltrate enemy communications, Tony said. Granted. What do you have in mind? If we're going to hit them hard, I want to make sure they can't coordinate their defenses. Tony's ship slipped away from the fleet and headed for the enemy's rear lines. The Shadow was equipped with experimental cloaking technology that made it nearly invisible to alien sensors. Meanwhile, Commander Ryan Clark was planning something else entirely. His ship Vengeance had taken heavy damage in the battle, but its weapons systems still worked. Ryan was known throughout the fleet as the most aggressive ship commander. Some called him reckless. Others called him effective. All Marines report. To the armory, Ryan announced. We're going hunting. Colonel Sam Davis led the fleet's Marine contingent. He was a big man with scars on his face and hands that moved like weapons themselves. Sam had fought aliens in hand-to-hand combat more times than he could count. What's the plan, Commander? Sam asked. We're going to board some enemy ships, Ryan replied. But we're not taking prisoners this time. Sam's smile was not pleasant. I like this plan. The human fleet spent the next 3 days moving through hyperspace and preparing for war, but this would not be like the wars they had fought before. This would be total war, the kind of war humans had perfected long before they reached the stars. Dr. Parker's teams worked around the clock-building shield disruptor bombs. Tony Mitchell's stealth ship mapped enemy positions and planted viruses in their communication networks. Beth Roberts decoded every enemy message and built a complete picture of the Council's betrayal, and Admiral Morrison planned their return. The Council thinks they've eliminated humanity's military, Morrison told his officers. They think Earth is defenseless. They're wrong on both counts. What do you mean, Admiral? Captain Barnes asked. Morrison activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Earth's government isn't stupid, Lisa. They've been building a secret defense fleet for years. Ships that the Council has never seen. Weapons that the Council doesn't know exist. The display showed hundreds of ships hidden in asteroid belts and behind moons. Earth had been preparing for this day longer than anyone realized. But first, we're going to send the Council a message, Morrison continued. We're going to show them what happens when you betray humanity. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near a Council research station. The facility was studying captured human technology, trying to find weaknesses they could exploit. It was defended by 30 alien warships. All ships, attack formation, Morrison ordered. No survivors. The battle was over in 20 minutes. Human ships struck with coordinated precision, using their new shield disruptor weapons to devastating effect. The alien defenders never had a chance to send a distress signal, but Morrison was not interested in the station's defenses. He wanted the information stored in its computers. Colonel Davis led his Marines in a boarding action that was more like a slaughter. The aliens inside the station had never faced human soldiers in close combat. They learned too late that humans had been killing each other with blade and bullet for thousands of years before they reached space. "Admiral, you need to see this," Beth Roberts reported from the captured station. Morrison looked at the alien data files she had decoded. His face went white with rage. The Council had not just planned to destroy his fleet. They had planned to conquer Earth, enslave humanity, and use human soldiers as cannon fodder in their wars. "They were going to turn us into their attack dogs," Morrison said quietly. "There's more," Beth continued. "They've been feeding false intelligence to human commanders for years. Every major human casualty in the last decade was caused by Council manipulation." Morrison thought of all the good soldiers who had died following alien orders, men and women who had trusted their Council allies and paid with their lives. "Upload everything to the fleet database," he ordered, "and prepare a transmission for Earth. They need to know what we've learned." While the human fleet gathered intelligence, Tony Mitchell was causing chaos behind enemy lines. His stealth ship had infiltrated the main Council communication network and was systematically destroying it from within. Enemy fleets found themselves flying blind. Their navigation systems turned against them. Their weapons targeted their own ships. Their communication arrays broadcast human war songs instead of tactical data. "This is actually kind of fun," Tony reported to Morrison. "I've been playing their greatest hits collection over their military frequencies for the last hour." But the Council was beginning to adapt. They started using backup communication systems and isolated networks. The element of surprise would not last much longer. That was when the Keth made their move. Supreme Keth Commander Grixtal had been watching the human attacks with growing respect. The Keth were warriors who valued strength and honor above all else. What they had seen from humanity impressed them. "These humans fight with true fury," Grixtal told his officers. "They do not run when outnumbered. They do not surrender when defeated. They adapt, and they strike back." One of his subordinates spoke up. "But, Commander, we are allied with the Council. We agreed to help destroy them." Grixtal's eyes burned with alien fire. "We agreed to help destroy a weak enemy. These humans are not weak. And the Council's methods are without honor. They lied to us about human capabilities. They lied to the humans about our intentions. A warrior who fights alongside liars becomes a liar himself." The Keth commander made a decision that would change the course of the war. "Send a message to the human fleet," he ordered. "Tell them that Commander Grixtal wishes to speak with their leader." When Morrison received the transmission, he was suspicious. But Beth Roberts analyzed the Keth commander's words and found something interesting. "Admiral, he's using formal challenge protocols," she reported. "In Keth culture, that means he wants to discuss terms of honor." Morrison made another decision that would define humanity's future. "Put him through," he said. Grixtal's scarred face appeared on the view screen. The alien warrior looked at Morrison with something approaching respect. "Human Admiral," Grixtal said in broken English. "The Council told us you were weak. They lied. You fight with honor. My people. We do not like fighting alongside liars." Morrison leaned forward. "What are you proposing, Commander?" "The Keth Empire withdraws from this conflict. We return to our own space. The Council can fight their own battles. And in return, nothing. The strong should not be destroyed by the weak using tricks and lies. This is not the Keth way." Morrison looked at his officers. This could be the break they needed. "I accept your withdrawal, Commander. But know this. If any Keth ship fires on a human target after this moment, we will consider your entire empire an enemy." Grixtal nodded slowly. "Understood. And Admiral, the Council fears you now. Good. They should fear what they have awakened." The transmission ended. Across space, Keth fleets began withdrawing from Council positions. The aliens who had started this betrayal were now alone. Morrison turned to his remaining officers. 67 ships against the combined might of the Galactic Council. The odds were impossible. But then, humans had always done their best work. When the odds were impossible, "Set course for Earth," Morrison ordered. "It's time to go home and finish this." The journey home took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of constant travel through hyperspace while the human fleet prepared for the final battle. Every day brought new modifications to their ships and new plans for revenge. Captain Greg Thompson commanded the Retribution, one of the most damaged ships in the fleet. Half his crew was dead and his ship held together with emergency repairs. But Greg refused to give up. His engineers worked day and night to keep the ship operational. "Captain, we've lost another power coupling," reported his chief engineer. "Fix it," Greg said simply. "We're going home, and we're going home fighting." Dr. Amy Foster had turned her medical bay into a laboratory of death. The fleet's chief medical officer was using her knowledge of alien biology to create weapons that would target specific species. It was not pretty work, but nothing about this war was pretty anymore. "I've completed the Altarian nerve agent," she reported to Admiral Morrison. "1 dose will paralyze their entire nervous system in seconds." Morrison felt sick thinking about biological weapons. But the Council had chosen genocide. They had made the rules of this war. "How many doses can you produce?" he asked. "Enough to kill every Altarian in their home system," Amy replied quietly. Navigator Lieutenant Carl Johnson spent his time plotting secret routes back to Earth. The Council would be watching all the main hyperspace lanes, but Carl knew paths through dangerous nebulae and unstable star systems that most aliens would never attempt. "Admiral, I've found a route that will bring us out behind Earth's moon," Carl reported. "We'll be in the solar system before anyone knows we're coming." While the human fleet traveled, they were not alone. Across the galaxy, news of the Council's betrayal was spreading. Species that had been oppressed by Council rule began to whisper about rebellion. The pirates of the Outer Rim started attacking Council supply ships. Independent colonies declared neutrality and refused to support the war effort. Even some Council member species began questioning their government's actions. But the most important ally came from an unexpected source. Keth Commander Vashatel had been wounded in the battle at Zeta Reticuli. His ship was badly damaged and drifting in space when human rescue teams found him. Most of Morrison's officers wanted to leave the alien to die. Morrison made a different choice. "Bring him aboard," he ordered. "But keep him under guard." When Vashtel recovered, he found himself in the human fleet's medical bay. Dr. Foster had treated his wounds with the same care she gave to human patients. This confused the Keth warrior. "Why did you save me?" he asked Morrison when they met. "Because you're not my enemy anymore," Morrison replied. "Your commander withdrew from the war. That makes you a neutral party." Vashatel studied the human admiral with intelligent eyes. "The Council told us that humans showed no mercy to prisoners." The Council lied about a lot of things. The Keth warrior was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a decision that surprised everyone. "Admiral Morrison, I wish to join your fight against the Council." "Why?" "Because they have no honor. They used deception to turn warrior against warrior. They made us accomplices in their lies. The Keth people must atone for this shame." Morrison looked at the alien warrior. Vashatel was asking to fight alongside the very people he had been trying to kill just days before. "What can you offer us?" Morrison asked. "I know the location of the Council leadership, I know their defensive strategies, and I know which species are beginning to doubt their government." Morrison made another decision that would change the course of the war. "Welcome to the human fleet, Commander Vashatel." The addition of a Keth warrior to their forces had an unexpected effect on human morale. If their former enemies could see the justice of humanity's cause, then maybe they were fighting for something more than just revenge. As the fleet approached Earth's solar system, they began receiving transmissions from the Home Defense Forces. What they heard amazed them. "Admiral Morrison, this is Fleet Admiral Susan Hayes," came a transmission from Earth. "We've been monitoring your situation. Congratulations on surviving." The Council's trap. Morrison knew Susan Hayes by reputation. She was the commander of Earth's defensive fleets and one of the most brilliant tactical minds humanity had ever produced. Admiral Hayes, what's the status of Earth's defenses? Morrison asked. Better than the Council thinks, Susan replied with a cold smile. We've been expecting this day for a long time. The transmission showed images of massive shipyards hidden in asteroid belts, weapon platforms disguised as mining stations, defensive satellites that looked like communication arrays. Earth had been secretly preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful. How long have you known? Morrison asked. 3 years, Susan replied. Our intelligence services detected the Council's planning. We've been building our true military in secret while letting them think our colonial fleets were all we had. Morrison felt hope for the first time since the betrayal began. Earth was not defenseless. Humanity had been preparing for this fight. What are your orders, Admiral? Morrison asked. Come home, Jake. We have work to do. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace behind Earth's moon, just as Carl Johnson had planned. Before them stretched the most beautiful sight any of them had ever seen. Earth, blue and green and alive. But the planet was under siege. Council fleets surrounded Earth in a loose blockade. They were not trying to destroy the planet. They wanted to capture it intact and use it as a symbol of their victory over humanity. That was their mistake. President John Carter appeared on Morrison's view screen. The leader of Earth looked older than when Morrison had last seen him, but his eyes burned with determination. Admiral Morrison, I'm authorizing you to use any means necessary to break the blockade, Carter said. The Council wants to make humanity an example. We're going to make them one instead. Morrison looked at his officers. Lisa Barnes, Ryan Clark, Beth Roberts, all the survivors who had followed him through hell and back. They were ready to finish what the Council had started. Mr. President, we're ready to bring this war to an end, Morrison said. Good, because we have some new toys to show you. What President Carter showed them made Morrison's blood run cold with anticipation. Earth's secret weapons program had produced technology that would terrify the Council. Relativistic kinetic weapons that could punch through any shield. Quantum disruption bombs that could collapse entire fleets into nothingness. And most frightening of all, artificial intelligence systems that could learn and adapt faster than any alien could think. The Council thought they knew what humans were capable of, Carter said. They were wrong. They've seen us as soldiers and diplomats. Now they're going to see us as Earth intended us to be. And what's that, Mr. President? Morrison asked. Carter's smile was as cold as space itself, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. As Morrison's fleet moved toward the Council blockade, they were joined by hundreds of ships emerging from hidden bases throughout the solar system. Earth's true military revealed itself for the first time. The Council forces detected the human fleet's approach and moved to intercept them. They expected to face a defeated enemy limping home from a failed mission. Instead, they found themselves facing the combined might of an angry human civilization that had been secretly preparing for total war. Admiral Morrison stood on his bridge and watched as Earth's hidden weapons came online. The time for mercy was over. The time for diplomacy was over. The time for following alien rules was over. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans did to those who betrayed them. All ships, Morrison broadcast. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every human who died believing in Council lies. Today we teach the galaxy that betraying humanity has consequences. He paused and looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of enemy ships. Today we bring annihilation to those who thought they could annihilate us. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. The battle for Earth began at exactly 1430 solar time. Admiral Morrison's returning fleet struck the Council blockade from behind, while Fleet Admiral Susan Hayes attacked from Earth itself. The aliens found themselves caught between two human forces with nowhere to run. But this was not the kind of battle the Council expected. This was not the slow, methodical warfare they had seen from humanity before. This was total war, fought with weapons the aliens had never imagined. Captain Maria Cruz led the first wave of attacks in her experimental ship Fury. Her vessel was equipped with humanity's newest creation, relativistic kinetic weapons that fired projectiles at 90% of light speed. When they hit, the impact released energy equivalent to nuclear bombs. "Target locked," Cruz reported. "Firing." A streak of light crossed space and struck a Council battleship. The massive alien vessel simply disappeared, vaporized by the impact. The other council ships stopped advancing and began backing away. They had never seen anything like this. General Kevin Ross commanded Earth's orbital defense platforms. He was the architect of humanity's secret weapons program, a man who had spent 5 years preparing for this day. "Activate the quantum disruption grid," he ordered. Around Earth, disguised satellites suddenly revealed their true purpose. They generated fields of quantum energy that reached out into space like invisible hands. Council ships caught in the field found their atomic structure beginning to collapse. Entire squadrons of alien vessels imploded in flashes of purple light. But the Council's most horrifying surprise came from Captain Tony Mitchell's stealth ship. He had spent the journey home preparing something special for the aliens who had betrayed humanity. "Admiral Morrison, this is Tony," he reported. "I'm releasing the AI swarms now." From hidden compartments in his ship came thousands of small drones. Each one was equipped with artificial intelligence that could learn and adapt in real time. They swarmed over council ships like angry insects, burrowing through hulls and destroying systems from within. The aliens tried to shoot down the drones, but for every one they destroyed, 2 more adapted to their weapons. Within minutes, the AI swarms had disabled dozens of enemy ships. Speaker Veltar watched the battle from his command ship and felt fear for the first time in his long life. The humans were not just winning. They were destroying his forces with weapons that seemed to come from nightmares. "All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance," he ordered. But Admiral Morrison was not interested in letting them retreat. "Ryan, take your ship and cut off their escape route," Morrison ordered. Commander Clark's vengeance accelerated past the retreating aliens and positioned itself between them and open space. The ship's weapons had been modified with Dr. Parker's shield feedback technology. When they fired, entire enemy formations exploded in chain reactions. "No one leaves until we're finished with them," Clark reported. The Council forces found themselves trapped in Earth's solar system with no way to escape. Their superior numbers meant nothing against weapons they could not understand or defend against. That was when President Carter made his announcement to the galaxy. "This is President John Carter of Earth." His transmission went out on all frequencies. "The Galactic Council has committed an act of genocide against humanity. They have attacked our civilians and betrayed our trust. From this moment on, Earth considers the Council a terrorist organization." The transmission continued with evidence that Beth Roberts had gathered. Recordings of Council planning sessions. Documents showing their alliance with the Keth. Proof of their lies and betrayals. "Any government that supports the Council will be considered an enemy of humanity," Carter declared. "Any species that harbors Council leadership will face the consequences. We offered you partnership. You chose war. Now you will learn what war with humanity truly means." Across the galaxy, the reaction was immediate. Species that had been oppressed by the Council declared independence. Pirates and rebels began attacking Council installations. Even some Council member species turned against their own government. The Galactic Council was falling apart, but in Earth's solar system, the battle continued. Admiral Morrison's fleet and Admiral Hayes's forces worked together to systematically destroy the trapped Council ships. They showed no mercy because none had been shown to them. Keth Commander Vashatel fought alongside his new human allies with savage joy. His ship had been repaired and equipped with human weapons. He led boarding parties that cleared Council vessels of survivors. "The humans fight with true warrior spirit," he reported to Morrison. "My people will remember this day with honor." Dr. Amy Foster's biological weapons proved devastatingly effective. Targeted viruses released into enemy ships killed specific alien species while leaving their technology intact. The humans wanted those ships for their own use. By the end of the day, the Council blockade had been completely destroyed. Not a single enemy ship escaped. But Admiral Morrison was not finished. "Set course for the Altarian home system," he ordered. Fleet Admiral Hayes joined her forces with Morrison's. Together, they commanded over 500 ships equipped with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. They were going to carry their war to the Council's home worlds. The journey to Altarian space took 3 days. During that time, the human fleet grew larger as ships from Earth's colonies joined them. Every human settlement that had survived the Council's attacks sent their defenders to join the fleet. When they arrived at the Altarian system, they found it defended by over 1,000 Council ships. The aliens had gathered their remaining Forces for a final stand. Speaker Veltar transmitted one last message to the human fleet. "Admiral Morrison, we are prepared to negotiate a ceasefire," he said. "Surely we can find a peaceful solution to this conflict." Morrison's reply was broadcast across the entire star system. "You had 15 years to find a peaceful solution. You chose betrayal instead. Now you face the consequences." The final battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Altarian home fleet was completely destroyed. Their orbital stations were ruins. Their government buildings were smoking craters, but Morrison did not order the bombardment of civilian targets. Even in his rage, he remembered that humanity fought for justice, not genocide. "This is Admiral Morrison to all Altarian civilians," he broadcast. "Your government has fallen. Your military has been destroyed. But we are not monsters like your leaders. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly." The Altarian government collapsed within hours. Speaker Veltar was captured trying to escape in a small ship. Other council leaders were found hiding in bunkers and private estates. President Carter arrived with a fleet of administrative ships to take control of former council space. He met with Admiral Morrison on the bridge of the Defiance. "Jake, you've done something incredible here," Carter said. "You've not just won a war. You've changed the balance of power in the galaxy." Morrison looked out at the stars and thought about all the humans who had died believing in council lies. All the good soldiers who had followed alien orders to their deaths. "What happens now, Mr. President?" he asked. "Now we rebuild," Carter replied. "But this time, we do it right. No more junior partnerships. No more following alien rules. Humanity leads, and everyone else follows." The new Galactic Federation was established 6 months later. It was headquartered on Earth and led by human administrators. The surviving council species were allowed to join as junior members, but only after accepting human oversight of their military forces. Species that had been oppressed by the old council were given independence and protection. Pirates and rebels who had helped humanity were granted amnesty and trade agreements. The Keth Empire signed a formal alliance with Earth. Commander Vashatel became the first alien to serve in the human fleet with full rank and honors. Admiral Morrison was promoted to Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces. His first order was the construction of a memorial to all the humans who had died serving alien masters. Their names were carved in black stone with a simple inscription: "They served with honor. They died in betrayal. They are remembered in victory." The galaxy learned a simple lesson from the war. Humanity could be the best ally or the worst enemy any species ever faced. The choice was theirs. But they also learned something else. When humans offered friendship and were betrayed, they did not offer friendship again. They offered terms of surrender. Speaker Veltar spent the rest of his life in a human prison, writing memoirs that no one read. In his final entry, he wrote the words that became famous throughout the galaxy. "We thought we were eliminating a threat. Instead, we awakened the species that would rule the stars. We feared human ambition, so we created human empire. History will remember us as the fools who handed the galaxy to Earth." Admiral Morrison retired to a small house on Earth, where he spent his days reading reports from across human space. Sometimes he stood on his porch and looked up at the stars, remembering the friends who had died far from home. The galaxy was peaceful now. Peaceful because everyone remembered what happened to those who betrayed humanity. And in the depths of space, human ships patrolled the trade routes and protected the innocent, carrying weapons that could annihilate entire fleets. The aliens who saw them pass whispered the same words: "There go the humans, the species that turned betrayal into empire."